Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there are just 342 days until Christmas 2023. Oh, we're on a new. And, you know, we got a little Christmas gift last night, didn't we? With the Mando Season 3 trailer. There's a lot of hype about that. And I've got my friend Jason Ward.
You want this?
One of my best buds. I do want it, Jason. That's
I'm
supposed to
going
be in the
to
mail.
walk to the post office today on when I do my fat boy exercise. I'm going to mail this to you. I'm doing it today. That's a promise.
It's happening.
That's a promise.
And in California, you can actually walk outside. You don't need a raft to get
I'm gonna take a little,
everywhere.
A little boat, a little dinghy.
Yeah.
Hi, Meg.
Hey, Jason.
You're really quiet, Meg.
Yeah, Meg. Why are you so shy lately? What's wrong? Problems at home?
Too quiet.
You're a little bit quiet.
Yeah.
A little bit quiet.
Yeah, it's not like you. Usually we won't shut up. I mean, usually you're just very talkative.
I'm gonna try and
No, your
adjust
mic
my
is-
settings.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. It's
It's
coming
got
up.
this annoying thing where it's like you can choose it far or near,
Oh, that sounds
and when
good.
it's near, you have to basically be sucking it to hear yourself.
Yeah. I've got the same thing with the mic I have, and mine, like my hand's sitting on the top of my mic, right there. So I've got it just off screen, but it would like it better if I was like talking like this into it all the time. That'd be great.
It's on to ASMR.
Voice. Yeah. Yeah. Anna's like,
Is that any louder?
So
Guys,
anyhow,
is this any better?
it's great.
it's great.
It's
Sounds good to
really
me.
good. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
really great. Hey, I've been doing this thing this year with the holidays, right? So there's all these nonsensical
Christmas?
holidays that are every day of the year, right? So every day of the year there's something new, and there's a whole host of them today. Today I pick. Today is. Let's see. Which one should I pick? Rid the world of fad diet and gimmicks day. That's today. No fad diets, no
No
gimmicks.
fad diets,
Yeah,
gimmicks.
or gimmicks.
So just eat a bunch of nuggets, do whatever I want.
But yeah, that's today.
I'm all about it. Sorry, I'm not chipping your kyber crystal out today because I'm going to In-N-Out and I'm getting bread with it. I'm going to town.
There you
Sam's
go.
going to
There
town.
you go. And I was telling Jason, Meg, you missed it right before the live stream started. There's a little issue going over at my dad's. It's been frozen here, really cold, and the water hoses froze up in the barn. And overnight, it warmed up enough to thaw them, and now his barn is flooded because water was spilling out all night. And after the stream today, I've got to go over there and see what can be done about the flooding over at his house. Good fun. Mud, water, barn. Great times. Just
That
telling
sucks.
you guys.
Yeah.
It certainly does. And last night I got to do the manure spreading, which is always great fun. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but you got like this trailer and it's full of poo from horses, right? So he gets his horse stalls cleaned out every week, and they fill this manure spreader. And so then you've got to pull it with the tractor, and it's got like beaters on the end that fling it everywhere out the back. So you pull it around, and it flings poo
Sounds shitty.
wildly. It's great fun, but and it always traps a little heat inside. And while it's flinging poo, it's steaming poo flying across the field. It's a sight to see. It's
What a dump.
it is. So there's
Sounds like a
so
really
much.
crappy time.
It certainly is. It certainly is. I've been tempted to like record it and be like, farm life. If you guys haven't ever seen anything like it, it's quite the sight to see. Steaming poo flying across, behind the tractor. It's good fun. Good fun. Dad Boy Steve. Beside the flooding, how's Mr. Santa physically? My dad is driving to North Carolina today, and he's going to go see my brother and his granddaughter, and then he's going to drive back tomorrow. So Dad is on the road this morning.
Dad on the road.
Yeah, he likes to keep the road hot. So that's what he's doing. People have been asking about my wife. Her left eye surgery. That's healing. She's almost the gas bubble that's in there is almost been completely absorbed, and then we can kind of start adding additional things to find out. Is she going to need a cataract surgery after that? What's going to have to happen? So we'll figure it out. But she's healing, and she's starting to see a little bit better.
Does she have a sexy eye patch?
She does.
Nice.
She does. And she also wears the glasses with the eye shield on it.
Like she's in Devo?
Yeah. Sort of.
Cool.
Sort of. So she can put that on there, and it kind of gives some rest to that left eye.
Yeah.
So there's all of that. Hey, what did you guys think of the trailer?
It was good.
No.
I'm more excited about Mon Mothma showing up than anything else. I think
Really?
Andor has just permanently ingrained itself in my mind that I used to be all about the Jedi. Now all I care about is politics on Coruscant.
Well, when I saw the Jedi Temple scene in the trailer, I was like, "Whoa!" I did not expect to see that, and seeing some of the breakdown of it and like the slower frames, there's some things in there to see.
Well, speaking of Order 66, I don't know about you guys, but I'm always so worried when they do Jedi stuff because, for one thing, it does not look anything like the Jedi Temple from the prequels. It just looks like a corridor.
Like one hallway that they keep using over and over again.
Exactly. And none of the Jedi they don't look right. And I don't know what it is about them.
They're all generic Jedi. They're like too generic. Like in George Lucas's Star Wars, when you saw a Jedi, they'd be like, "Oh, look, it's the horn guy. Look, it's the walking Q-tip. Oh, look, it's like Yoda, but he's made of flesh and has an eye patch." Like everything, they had like something that you could say like that little weirdo. Whereas all of these Jedi are always like, "Hey, look, it's somebody that would host the dance party at Disneyland." At the start,
Here's the other thing with it. It's like humans were a minority in the Jedi Order. We see that in the Clone Wars. We see it in the prequels. But all of the Jedi seem to be humans in Kenobi, in Book of Boba, in this show.
Yeah.
It's like, just give us like an Ithorian or whatever Eth Koth was. I can't remember what they're called. But
yeah, well, how hard is it to like, put a Rhodian mask on somebody and put a scuba diving mask on it and then like, "Oh, look at that guy." It's not that hard. I know it's not that easy, but it's not that hard either. You know what I mean? Like, and there's like really brief scenes. It doesn't need to be like the best looking thing in the world, but it would be more visually interesting. And it's like, that does come across as just kind of cheap. And like, that's one of the problems like with Kenobi, with the Kenobi series itself, was it was only 6 episodes, had a lower budget for that reason. Therefore, the sets were cheaper. It's something like this. It's like they're not going all out because it's not a show about Jedi. It's not a show about the Jedi Temple. So they're not putting their money there. But when you do that, you don't put that shot on the trailer. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I agree.
Same thing with the shot of Pershing on Coruscant. Whoever decided to put that shot in the trailer, you need to rethink that.
It was Maxine Park, but she's done some incredible work. She did Rise of Skywalker. She did Mando 2. She did this one. But that was a very weird decision. I will say, though, does anyone who defends this kind of Jedi stuff we see in these shows, does anyone genuinely have continuity in their brain between the prequels and this? Because to me, it's not the same universe. And I was made aware of this when I rewatched Revenge of the Sith the other day. I'm like, you know what? In my mind, Kenobi, Book of Boba flashbacks, they're just fan fiction. I don't consider them legit, which is why I just don't get excited about them. I really don't.
Yeah, that's a hot take. No, I love them. And in these flashback scenes, when you talk about, you see continuity between the flashback to the prequel era and the prequels. Absolutely, I do. I've had no problem at all making that connection. It feels right to me. I don't know.
I just can't do
Not
it. I can't see it
other
as the
than
same universe.
mainly being human Jedi. And like you mentioned, that hallway looks sort of generic. Let me get to that in the trailer here, and then
Do you know what it's
I'll
like,
bring it on the
Santa?
screen.
Imagine you have a breakfast place and you have the same, you order the same thing every time. Let's say it's like a full English and it's got the bacon, the beans, the eggs. That place gets bought by a new
That is
place.
so British. That is not what we would call breakfast at all. I don't know what
Okay,
you're
well,
even talking about right now.
put on
You
a
said
British
beans,
hat. Beans, toast,
beans
eggs,
toast,
and it gets bought by like a
bangers
conglomerate.
and mash. Do we get? Is that
Bangers and
breakfast?
mash.
I don't even know what that is. I just heard it. I just heard it said a few times, and it makes me laugh. I have no idea.
It's sausages with mashed potato. It's pretty simple, and gravy.
Oh, that actually sounds pretty good right
And
now.
we have something called toad in the hole, which is a sausage in Yorkshire pudding, which is like a savory, buttery kind of. It's delicious.
Toad in a hole.
Toad in the hole. If you Google it, you'll see pictures.
Wait,
But it's as if someone bought that restaurant and tries replicating the same menu, but the recipe is just slightly different. There's just not enough salt, and you can see what they're trying to do, but it doesn't feel real. And I kind of realize most Disney Star Wars outside of, I'd say, Rogue One and the animated stuff and Andor, it just doesn't, to me, it's like, okay, they're trying to do Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. Like, I have this reverence when I watch the original trilogy or the prequels where I'm like, wow, this was Star Wars. And everything now is kind of like, eh.
do you think it might just be the production quality between movie and streaming service? Could it be as simple as that?
It could be, but it just doesn't feel the same. Whenever they do Jedi, they just don't look like Jedi. Like, to me, this is just, I don't know, like a cheap knockoff, like a video game. I can't put this in the same headspace as like the Palpatine fight with Kit Fisto, Agent Kolar, and Sazy Tin. They're just two separate things. This is like, okay, this is fan fiction, this is fun, it's whatever. Because in my brain, I don't have this continuity between these shows and the films, and I think it might be because they deliberately go out of their way to not connect them in so many ways. If they just flat out gave us a Grogu talking to Yoda when he was a kid, maybe that would change it for me. But they try to do everything to be like, oh, remember this? But it's not the real deal.
So how do you feel, like, for instance, when you see the battle droids at a bar next to like the little weirdo from the Sandcrawler? Like, does that stuff feel, does that give you a cognitive dissonance as well?
Not as much. I think Mando season 1, which did that quite a bit, and parts of season 2 as well. It's the same with Luke in the last episode of season 2. To me, that's not what he did next. To me, what he did next is in Heir to the Empire. And I don't mean to sound like toxic or whatever. Like, I hate the Disney stuff.
You're going down a path I cannot follow. No, I'm kidding.
Like, if you told me that in canon Luke trained Grogu and then Grogu went back to Din, I'm like, oh yeah, that's from that Disney show. I don't think, oh yeah, that's Luke in Star Wars. I guess it's just too conclusive for me.
Do you think it's a time issue in some ways of like reconfiguring your common sense in that way, like with the exposure to these things? Like, for instance, to me, I was like 9, I think 8 or 9 when Heir to the Empire came out, read it. And even then when I read that, I felt the way that you feel. I'm like, there's no way like some of this stuff is like what happened. Yel Samiri, I was like, there's no way this is a thing in Star Wars. So I always had this a bit of like accepting and rejecting that was always kind of at play. But then over the years, like inconsistency is something I've just been able to like embrace and go with in a grander narrative sense. Like, you really can't reconcile the tone of Andor with the tone of Rebels. Those things could not be further like on the spectrum. At the same time, I am able to sort of look at it like in a grander historical sense in that universe. Like, if I was to watch.
Oh,
I think Kathleen Kennedy pulled him.
Jason, yeah. Well, be careful how you say that. Yeah, Jason. Jason, what happened to Jason? There, wait, there we go. Yeah, I hear you, Chuck.
I didn't go anywhere. I just got no. But anyways, what I was saying was like, if I watched a cartoon of the Revolutionary War and then I watch like some HBO version of the Civil War, like that's just how all this stuff ends up feeling to me. Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's a bit different though, because this is going to sound weird, but the sequels to me feel way more like actual Star Wars. Like, to me, they're canon, whether I dislike them or not.
Yeah.
In my head, that story makes sense. But these shows just don't feel as good. They lack that Star Warsness. Is it John Williams? Is it, big cinematic battles? I don't know. But in terms of how my brain perceives them, they're not in the same timeline. They're like Star Wars visions. Like, this is separate stuff.
It's really interesting that you've kind of gotten to that point. It's to me, it's just a different medium, right? So there's a big difference between going to a theater, the theatrical movies, which, for the bulk of our lives has been how we've got live action Star Wars cinematic in these saga movies. We didn't have non-saga Star Wars live action. So you had novels and graphic novels and comics and animated stuff, which people consume at different rates, right?
Yeah.
But when you're looking at live action and it's a 30-minute, 27-minute show versus the cinematic experience of a saga, right? Like, you're telling a story over the course of 3 movies, and it involves the main, let's say the main Skywalker, Palpatine kind of story arc. This is not that. So I get where it's not that. But what would have happened if we ever got the George Lucas direct to TV, or assuming it went?
That would have been
live action?
terrible.
Yeah, but it would still have been Star Wars to me.
But would it have felt like the cinematic thing when it was like?
But here's the thing:
you've seen some of those.
It's not that I don't
excerpts.
like it. It's not that I don't like these shows. I love The Mandalorian. But in my head, it's like, if I want to watch Star Wars, I go to the originals or the prequels. My brain doesn't go, oh, let's rewatch The Mandalorian. If my brain goes, oh, let's watch something on Disney Plus, it'll be like, oh yeah, The Mandalorian's pretty good. I can't reconcile these characters existing in the same universe because they're just so different. If George Lucas cared, for example, about Mandalorians, he would have actually put them in things. And don't talk about KOTOR or the video games, because he didn't care about those.
Clone Wars he did, but his idea of the Mandalorians was so different than what we're getting now.
Exactly. It was more like Jango, because he had this idea of Jango Fett being like the prototype.
Yeah. But then he changed it to this like weird Aryan race in the Clone Wars. It was like, so, it was all over the place with him. In a way, Meg, I kind of think a product of that. I think I know what you mean. I think I sense your discontent, and I think it just has to do with the unevenness of the franchise in this era where we haven't had any live action films in a long time, when it's like we should be having live action films so we could accept this as the appetizer and not the meal. I think that's kind of where the state of Star Wars is at the moment. And I think once the films come back at high quality, hopefully, I think then it's just like, I could roll with this. So like
there's a
this
couple
little
of thoughts
novellas.
Yeah, a couple thoughts I have. First of all, Kay, our prayers are with you.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
Having chest pains. I know Kay is in my age group. I get a sense for where her mom is in relation to my dad. Keep us informed. Let us know. We'll be concerned about her, concerned about you.
We need to do that one trick from the Clone Wars where we're like, we all use the Force like Mace, on Cad Bane. KG's mom, you will be okay. We got to shot that in her brain, and then fine.
Two quick points about what we were talking about, because I'm a huge Mandalorian fan. And like, don't get it wrong, it's not like I don't like the shows, but they don't exist in the same headspace as the films. And I would consider myself a diehard, and you guys are too. Like, we know the stuff better than your average viewer, but I kind of feel like they're getting too deep into stuff. I hate the fact that to actually understand an entire Mandalorian episode, you have to have seen all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, understand Hera's toilet in The Ghost from this one random episode of Star Wars Rebels. It's and I've spoken to people who I know in real life who like Star Wars, and they say this stuff is too complicated. And I think it's gone way too complicated. Star Wars used to be simple. It used to be just a face value, enjoyable thing. It's always had lore, but it's always been for the optional nerds who read every single book, and you know what I mean? And I feel like if they keep appealing to that, they're eventually just going to keep damaging the brand. Because there are genuinely people who are like, oh, why is Boba Fett in whatever? It's like, oh, because you have to have seen Book of Boba Fett and he was in Mando too. It's like, okay.
I think they should keep the film simple, and that they should let the shows go downtown to Fantown. You know what I mean?
Maybe I'm just salty because I'm not a Clone Wars fan.
A little bit, probably a little bit, but at the same time, you shouldn't have to be a Clone Wars fan to follow something in live action. I'd say,
but they're making it so that you do, because let's say Corky Kreese shows up. How the hell do you explain that to your average viewer?
The same way,
just don't. They're just any other random character.
Ahsoka with Rebels. They're not going to make you watch Rebels. They're just gonna. It's gonna. What was that term I can never remember last week? Like cinema in res or something like that. Which just means it starts in the middle of the story and you kind of like get these breadcrumbs that keep it intriguing and inform you that there's a past, that it's a lived-in place. But I am with you. I think it's always the damned if you do, damned if you don't. You have to cater to your people that are like, oh, that's Klaxon 7 and he was in the novel. I get it. Me and Dave Filoni are on the same page. But then you can't offend like the person that just wants to bop it. Bop it. Star Wars Santa, brought to you by Bop It. And
this is why Andor is perfect, because Andor did Easter eggs that were very, very subtle, that had no bearing on the story. But if you do get it, it's just like, oh, that's a nice little detail. But you don't have to know it.
They weren't scripted. They weren't integral to the story whatsoever. The Easter eggs were done by the set designers.
Well, more than that, I was thinking about Andor as well. For the to the degree that Mon Mothma is in there, we know who Mon Mothma is from the original trilogy. Yeah. If you hadn't watched the original trilogy, you hadn't watched any other Star Wars. Jason got pulled again. But you hadn't watched any other Star Wars, and the Andor was your first kind of foray into it. Who's Mon Mothma? Why do I care about it? Doesn't matter. She's her story arc in Andor itself introduces her character to the degree that we need to know. If you don't know anything else about her, and that's the only context you have, it's still fine. You see where she's a politician, she's trying to move money, she's involved in this tangentially.
But you know what's great, Santa? No one knows this part of Mon Mothma's life. It's not like this is treading on the toes of anything that we know about her, because even in Legends, there's so little information about her story. I mean, I know Disney have really revived the character in Lost Stars, in the Bloodline book. They've done really well. Someone in the chat mentioned no one knew who Black Chrysanthemum or Cobb Vanth were because they were from comics and books. But it's not like introducing Bo-Katan, where she has a whole story. Black Chrysanthemum, you can take or leave if you know him, because it's fine to introduce a comic book character where it's just, talented, muscular Wookiee. That's all you need to know. Cobb Vanth is the same. All you need to know is that they explain everything from the Aftermath novel in a flashback of how he got Boba Fett's armor. That's fine. It's when they do things like Bo-Katan is a great example. I'm not a huge Clone Wars fan, but I'm a huge Rebels fan. So I only knew Bo-Katan pre-Mando season 2 from like the 2 episodes of Mando of Rebels she shows up in, or 3. She doesn't do much in Rebels other than gets the Darksaber from Sabine. But I went back and watched Clone Wars season 5 because that was recommended on Disney Plus, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get why she's the heiress and Satine and blah 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 blah. If I hadn't done that, I would be completely lost going into the 3rd season.
Well, maybe, but at the same time, I think they introduced her enough in Mando season 2. And let's say that this is the other part of your point is, what if you haven't watched Mando season 1 and season 2? You come into Mando season 3. Is it going to make sense?
It will, because she'll just be sitting on that throne like, this is mine.
Yeah.
And I
think I agree. I think it's going to be fine. The other thing that I wanted to touch base on, we've kind of we've gone down a path here, but no, is there's what I think affectionately called George Lucas loyalists, right? Like Star Wars to them is the 6 movies of the saga, the first 6 movies of the saga. Everything outside of that is tangential to Star Wars. And to how close is it to the Star Wars that you associate with, or the Star Wars that kind of is ingrained in you, varies from person to person, right? Mileage may vary.
Sure.
And to the degree that the sequels or the Clone Wars or Rebels or the Mandoverse or any of this is going to vary from person to person. And the question that is starting to kind of percolate is how well will movies outside of, let's say, great big blockbuster movies. Let's say that the next movie that comes out is largely received well. It doesn't, cause any division or derision in the fandom. Let's say that something like that exists and it happens. Will it still feel like Star Wars, to Meg's point, if it is not in the Skywalker Palpatine story?
I would say absolutely. I think they need to do that. I think
Well,
Star Wars going in a completely new direction, as long as they keep some of the very basics, is probably its best bet, because Disney, when they create their own characters, can do so incredibly well. When they try to mimic, this actually goes back to the first point, when they try to mimic the Order 66 scenes and whatever, it doesn't feel right because it's not the same. It's not done in the same way. And I disagree with Luke in saying there's been lots of exposition to Bo-Katan. I did a whole lot of research after Chapter 11, being like, why did she say this? What the hell's a night owl? You know what I mean? Like, you don't... It's fine if you've seen the Clone Wars.
Know that.
They stay up real late.
You have to know that to know.
The Mando's
really
without a
story.
bedtime. Mando's without a bedtime, Meg. The Night Owls. So, come on. All right. Mike Porter.
Yeah. But like when she said, I'm the last survivor of Clan Kreese,
Mm-hmm.
If you're a normie and you haven't seen Rebels or the Clone Wars, you would think, what does she mean by Clan Kreese? Isn't her name Bo-Katan? And then you're like, oh, well, that's her last name. But they didn't give that to us. You're saying that as someone who's seen all of it.
A normal person though sees that and they think like, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, and you're like, it's the same kind of thing. Like, what's a Clone War? And then either it's intriguing or it's just yippity yappity crap, and you just kind of move on. I think, but I could be wrong. But I
think you're right, Jason. I think
the Clone Wars is different because that didn't exist back then. Bo-Katan, when she arrived in Mando, had all of this backstory.
Mm-hmm.
When Obi-Wan talked about the Clone Wars, or Leia says, you fought alongside my father in the Clone Wars, that was a concept no one knew about. So that's a bit different. It's like when they mentioned, I don't know, a random like frog lady or something new that the Mandalorian introduced. It's fine to not know because you assume at some stage, even though it took George decades, they will explain it.
Yeah.
Well, I just a couple things. One is I'm not sure that new movies will connect to Star Wars fans if it doesn't have Skywalkers or Palpatines. It's going to feel different. Like, this isn't Star Wars that I know. Others will ride along just fine outside of the Skywalker saga. The other is, I kind of fundamentally disagree with you, Meg, that somebody coming in has no idea who Bo-Katan is. You see, oh, she's wearing the same kind of outfit that Mandalorians have. She's a Mandalorian. I don't really care about the other kind of noise that comes in. I don't have to understand it to see that she's referring to something
you
in
will,
the past.
Santa. In season 3, if what Jason has told us is true, which it probably is, then it sounds like we kind of need to understand a bit more about her story. And Kieran, Star Wars Fits in the chat, brings up the best example, Grand Admiral Thrawn. When he was mentioned in Mando season 2, 99.9% of this fandom probably was like, what the hell is a Thrawn? And they have to do this because I've got to tell you, fans of Thrawn are diehard Thrawn fans. They have online communities and, they are deep in the Timothy Zahn stuff, whether it's the Legends original Legends trilogy or whether it's the newer stuff, there is a lot of baggage to Thrawn, which I think Rebels dealt with perfectly. I think Star Wars Rebels was the perfect way to introduce a character like Thrawn, but how are they going to introduce him into live action?
I can't. There's something that I can't say, but there is an introduction to Thrawn that is going to. It's not going to matter. Whatever. In terms. I don't mean they're racist things. Oh, my fandom is a race. I don't mean like that. I mean the introduction of Thrawn in the Ahsoka series. That's going to be an introduction.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's going to be it's going to be a big thing. It won't matter. But there are going to be people that are like, Thrawn's a good guy. I read the book, and in the book, he was the protagonist, which means he's the good guy. And it's like, no, from a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. Is what.
By the way, you guys say all of this, but I swear to goodness that when I did the breakdown of Chapter 13, The Jedi, back in 2020, I had some of my subscribers, someone literally said, this is no disrespect to this person, but they did say this.
Yeah.
Is this character related to Shark T? Because if you watched the Clone Wars or the original of the prequel trilogy, that is a completely valid question to have if you never saw the Clone Wars. Sorry, if you watched the prequels but you didn't see the Clone Wars, that's a valid question.
Yeah. Totally fair. Yeah. I mean, when the Clone Wars was coming out, all the people, when they first saw the stuff, they were asking if that was Ashla, the little girl from Attack of the Clones. And it turns out Ahsoka was based on that character and then moved away from it. But all of that stuff. But I still think like that stuff's like so like that even is a step beyond the normie conversation, right? The person who just watches and is like, yeah, I don't care. It's a background character.
Right. Hey, a couple things, and we're kind of straight off the trailer. I'd like to get back to the trailer discussion.
What's the trailer?
Can I ask Jason just one more question, Santa? Just a quick one. So, Jason, let's say you're a fan of Star Wars. You've seen all 9 films, or 11 films.
I relate to this so far.
Okay.
I can relate.
You never saw the Clone Wars. You know about it. You know maybe who Ahsoka is.
Fake fans, yeah.
You know a little bit about it, but then you decide, you know what, I'm going to get myself that Disney Plus subscription, because here in the UK, a lot of the phone services are doing these offers, and that's how they've kind of amassed an audience. So
breaking up with my girlfriend, going all in.
You've paid for your subscription, you go to Disney Plus. Will you be able to understand these shows to a T? Maybe not to a T, just the general, fans. Will they be able to understand these shows in a way that is satisfying, that makes them crave more and understand these backstories, just based on watching the trilogies?
Wait. Your question is, would they be able to follow the Clone Wars if they had just seen the films?
Yes, or any of these shows.
I think there would be moments of ambiguity, but then it starts to like fill itself in. Like it's coming at the same problem from the other angle, and the same problem being when we learned that Ahsoka was even a thing, people were like, Anakin didn't have a Padawan. What? Like that's not what happened in my movies. And then now though, after 10 years of Ahsoka, wherever many years it's been, it's just like it's become a new constructed common sense for me that Anakin had a Padawan, and then she quit because Jedi suck. Like, and it's just fine. It just becomes fine. But I think that with that kind of storytelling, there's a couple. There's like, I don't mean to put it into a binary of there's only 2 kinds of people, but for the simplicity of this comment, there is, and like there's the people that it can take new information, synthesize it, accept it, and move on, or those that are like, nope, there was 6 films and that's it. And then same people, you can even take that back. There were 3 films and that's it. And then it's the same thing over and over again. Either you just roll with it, like let it wash off your back, like Book of Boba Fett doesn't tickle my pickle. So I just kind of go like, okay, but Boba Fett came back, and you know what? Wasn't as cool as it could have been, but to
be fair,
whatever.
Book of Boba is very easily understandable if you saw Return of the Jedi. Someone in the comments said Meg and Jason seem to be burnt out on Star Wars. We need positive Santa in the discussion. It's not that I'm negative on Star Wars. It's not that I'm burnt out, but I'm starting to realize that these shows feel very repetitive. There's the same spice in all of them, and we need something different. And I think a movie could change all of this.
It is good. It is the movie, We need that movie. I'm not burned out at all, by the way. I could just have I could critique Star Wars on its positives and its negatives without, like gushing about it the whole time. Because I think that there's good and there's bad here. And I think that what Meg's saying has it has merit. It's her opinion, and it's not like it's like uninformed or something. So it's not that I'm burned out or anything like that. But when Star Wars comes back, when the films come back, here's what's going to happen. It's not the Skywalker saga. It's going to be a different saga. That's what they're building towards. But what's going to happen is it's going to probably, at a moment, bring in the characters from the Skywalker saga will exist in the same universe. And people are going to get cognitive dissonance. All of the online speculations will be like, when's Rey going to show up? And it's not the Skywalker saga, which Rey is a part of. That's Rey's saga. And so that's what we're going to have to deal with then. That's the next stupid thing that we can't get past because Lucasfilm doesn't know how to manage their online expectations. So to some extent, it's not their problem. Yeah. To some extent, it is. It's like if you're a brand manager and you're managing that brand, you should probably like get ahead of some of this stuff, know what's coming, instead of just going, the internet's stupid, I'm better than them, which is what previous brand managers have done.
Santa and Jason, be completely honest. Rose-colored glasses aside, did today's trailer or last night's trailer blow you away the way that season 2's trailer did?
No, it didn't.
Holy smokes.
Actually,
it did for me.
Season 2's trailer didn't blow me away either. Okay. These are my rose-colored glasses. Like that's been my thing is I love The Mandalorian, but the people that are like, this is Star Wars at 10, I have never agreed with that. To me, it's always like, this is very, very fun content to consistently have, but does this define Star Wars for me? No, it doesn't, and it never has. That's where I agree with like Meg's general but that's where I've always been. I've always had low expectations, and then it kind of usually goes over them for me. Like it's usually better than what my actual expectations are. But mostly, I'm a film person. Like,
well, you know what this all boils down to? Jason is me in a few years' time.
Mm-hmm.
Jason's opinion is where I'll probably be at.
I say
then Andor rocked. Like Andor is, I still think, one of the best things that Star Wars has ever made in its 40-something year history now. So
I got way more excited over the trailer than I thought that I would.
Really?
Like you said, I agree with Jason. The season 2 trailer didn't like throw me over the moon like this. Like it got me excited for the season coming up. It certainly did that. But boy, this pumped some adrenaline in me that I wasn't expecting. And I'll say that it primarily happened for me when I saw the Jedi Temple scene. I wasn't ready for that. And that kind of, because I was expecting more or less to see the trailer that came out at Celebration, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it would be a little bit new stuff in there. And when I saw that, it was like, it hyped me beyond measure. And there was a couple things I wanted to bring up. Like, they spent a lot of money leading into this trailer. And even if it's inside money, that, it's between ESPN, Disney Plus, ABC, right? That's all inside money, one hand paying and the other.
But they still have to. That's what Hollywood does, by the way, is like they charge themselves,
right?
And then they go like, we spent $40 million on marketing. Yeah, but that you paid that. It's not profitable, but you paid yourself. Yeah, right. It is profitable.
We did the same thing when I worked for J.P. Morgan Chase, and we had to pay.
Watch out, they're very litigious. So let's just say some generic corporation that sucks.
some huge corporation. We had to pay rental space for our office our desks. Yeah. We had to pay rent for our space. Now, J.P. Morgan Chase owned the building. They owned. They were paying the electricity bill and all the utilities. J.P. Morgan Chase owned that. But every month we had to pay for each cube, each workspace that we had. So we were paying back and forth. It's all had to do with general ledger budgeting kind of stuff. Nonsense. But in any event, this is opportunity cost that they could have gotten from, let's say, Toyota or Chevy or Ford, whatever, that they spent marketing themselves rather than getting money from other companies for the Monday Night Football game. But they also had a lot of eyeballs on the show for that reason that may not have regularly been watching Monday Night Football. So it's sort of a shell game, but at the same time, there is some measurable in there, like what do we normally get, what did we get, so on and so forth. People who care way too much about that stuff. All that's being said, that this morning I turned on NBC to watch the Today Show and get the weather and all of that, and they featured the Mandalorian trailer, which is an ABC, Disney Plus, Lucasfilm property. And they covered it, and the hype on NBC during their primetime coverage was on a competitor's content. So I think that absolutely Mandalorian trailer hit all of the notes they wanted to hit, and it got people excited well beyond just the inside crowd.
Well, Santa, what you're talking about, the excitements that you have, is how I feel about every time Jason releases an Ahsoka article. Because I kind of feel as though taking these ideas and concepts and doing something new with them is way more exciting than another Grogu Order 66 thing.
We end up with like two kinds of storytelling. Once again, go back to a dumb binary. That's not exactly true. But we end up going back to this kind of binary of you either have a very human story that anybody could understand. And that's why Mando connected. It was because it's a father and a son. It's a cute little baby and an attractive daddy. And they're going through the universe, and people just understand that. Like they inherently understand that.
Yep.
But then you go to the other side of it where it's Ahsoka and it's high concept Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like unknown regions, blue guy, and all that stuff like that. So it's like it's these two different things that have to like be reconciled between having a fandom and having a very general basic bitch audience, which is what Star Wars has in totality. It's very basic.
Sorry, I want to touch base on something else too. Is our good friend Quentin talked about me sitting here smiling. I'm a happy guy today. I'm a happy guy because I get to hang out with two of my best friends in the world. And they know what's going on with me, and they are here talking Star Wars with me, and I couldn't be happier than when I'm spending time with my best friends and with you all. We've got a big audience today for the show. We've gone over 60 a couple times, and I am thrilled to death just to be able to have this chance to spend with all of you. And so this makes me happier beyond measure. You guys can't even know. So to hear Meg talk about things that I disagree with, it gives me so much joy. I can't even, I don't know how to express it without like breaking down and crying and getting way too emotional. But this is awesome. That's why I'm so happy. So I just like,
we love you, Santa. But when you said it's so great, when you said that Meg saying all these things I disagree with, I thought you were going to say it's like a knife to my heart.
No, it gives me joy because otherwise all we do is sit in they talk about preaching to the choir, right? The term being like you're in church, the pastor's preaching to the choir. You're not reaching anybody outside of the folks within your congregation. In this case, we've got folks that have different opinions. We've got different thoughts, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And otherwise, I kind of get in my own headspace, and I think we all do this. We get in our own headspace. We think everybody thinks like we think.
Only Sith does an absolute, Santa. Come on.
Right. And that, well, most people agree with me because everybody I talk to, the people I hang out, they say the same things I say. So
for these peepers, I'm the protagonist. Right?
So, and this cracked me up too. When Meg said, can you take off your rose-colored glasses? No, I can't. My wife has told me that for over 30 years. I just walk around with my rose-colored glasses on, my head in the clouds, like, whoop-de-doo-de-doo, life is good, woohoo! Sunshine, rainbows, unicorns. That's my normal state of being. and there's reasons for that too that have to do with my mental health. And but in any event, I love hearing the different perspectives because it allows me to challenge what I think, and it allows me to challenge sort of my preconceptions. And I love that we're able to do this. So that's it's super awesome. You guys, I wanted to bring back to the trailer a little bit.
Yeah.
And I saw Meg in your review this morning. You talked about the droid cantina, right? And this guy that's standing over here on the edge, right? He's here too.
That's
right? He's in the droid
EV-99,
cantina,
right?
Yeah.
Isn't he the guy that burns the feet of the person in Return of the Jedi? The
It's
droid,
either him or
he assigns all to his role.
8D8 is the one who 8D8 is the one who burns the feet,
Okay.
and is the daimyo of Tatooine's new boy.
This is
droid.
99.
And then this is the one who takes over the cantina. That's like new acquisitions.
That's it. Yeah. So he assigns 3PO and R2 his role.
Meg,
their
Meg
roles.
on the vintage toy, I had that when I was a kid, and like it had a little switch on the back of the head, and you could make its mouth move, so you could like literally go like "F you," and your friends would laugh. It was really fun.
Okay. I was worried when you said I could make its mouth move.
No. It's tiny,
so-
but not that tiny, Meg.
Astromech Jeremy, $2 super chat. Thank you. R5, look right behind him. They're trolling along in the streets.
Oh, just put that $2 in Santa's G string right there.
There's an image.
There's maybe not one that you invited, but there it is anyway. Yeah, so lots of Easter eggs. Meg was talking about Easter eggs before in Andor.
Hey, this is a
We
Christmas
certainly
show.
have
Come
them
on.
here as well. And you know, let me just let this play. Ooh, this was another shot that I saw, and I don't know why I get, stupid things just jump out at me. I love that here we've got IG 11, right?
Did you notice that he's missing later on? Did you notice that?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Later on,
but
later on
After
when the Mandos land, you see
Mhm.
that same thing, and IG-11 is gone.
Oh,
I
so
wonder
let's-
what's gonna
let's look at that.
happen.
They're fighting
look
the
at that.
pirates. And
I like this
by the way,
part here
everyone's
where-
making a big deal about this, but we literally saw it in the Mandalorian season 2
Yeah,
in chapter.
Oh, I
in
know,
chapter
I
12.
know. But I like that his foot is on a as a helmet.
Kinky.
There's, I just like that we've got a stormtrooper helmet that his foot is on top of, like
Santa
smashing
likes
down on
trampling. Revealed.
How do you
I
feel about the man in a rubber suit later on?
I
Same?
love him.
You love him too?
Yes, yeah. It feels
refreshing going on here.
Star Warsy to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
So, and I pointed out, of course, we see the N1 here. Now, we know things are out of sequence because throughout the trailer, different alterations are made to this. Here you can see R5 sort of in the background. You can see like the squared off head, right? So it's not the dome, right? We know that Pelimoto made the change to the N1 in season 2 to put that dome on there, and we see it in the trailer with Grogu riding.
Where do they
dome.
where do they put the dome when R5 gets in it?
Well, I think that, hey, Darth Chaco, it has been a minute. Hello, my
I
friend.
like Darth Plagueis. I
Oh
follow
my
him
gosh.
on Twitter.
I love him, and I absolutely love Darth Chaco. He is a wonderful, wonderful guy.
If I ever meet him, I want to have a taco with him. So I want to have a Darth Chaco taco.
He's kind of Star Wars fan I aspire to be. I love the guy.
Jason, I love that
the
your
guy.
sense of humor is stuck in 1998. It's one of my favorite things about you.
I miss it. I miss the Chaco taco. Come on.
So here we can see Mando in there with Grogu and R5, right? So we know that's going on there. Let me find. There's another shot of of course,
Delicious Mando soup.
great stuff. Great stuff. He's going to go back. And you guys have broke this down. We don't need to do that. I highly, strongly, cannot more strongly recommend watching Meg's breakdown video today. Like it's
Santa, you know what we do need to talk about though? Is the
We do.
city planet Coruscant, Hosnian, or
Yes.
Chandrilla?
We will get there. Absolutely. That's important. I want to just touch base here. Here you go. Now you can see, like, here's the dome, right? That for the pilot, right? And then right behind it, you can see the R5. The dome that for the passenger dome has been removed, and I think Peli has made an alteration to the N1 here. So he went back and said,
"You think now Grogu's lap sitting for here on out, pretty much?"
Well, there's another. Yeah, I do. And there's a line in here that says Mandalorians are more than fighting. You have to learn to navigate the universe. And he gets a navigation droid, right?
Sorry.
And I think there's dual meaning to navigate the universe, right? There's navigate as far as like on a map, and there's navigate as far as like
street smarts.
Street smarts. Yeah. So go ahead, Jason.
No, as a kid, whenever I would find carded Star Wars figures, if I saw R2 or Boba Fett and R5D4, I had to buy them, even if I already had them. It was like the dumbest thing about me as a kid, because I would like take R5D4 into the bath or something, and like the sticker would get all messed up. Then I would see him in the store, perfect. I would like, I want it perfect. So I'd have to like get it again. And I bought R5D4 like 3 times as a kid in the 80s. And that now whenever I see R5D4 is like a main character's droid in like a series, though, there's something really weird and kind of cool, but also just strange about that. You know what I mean? Like R5D4, like what's he doing? And then remember when they brought R5D4 back in the 90s and they give him like a rocket launcher? You're like, what is going on with R5D4? That guy's had a weird Star Wars history over the years, you know.
Well, he has. In the novelization, there's a book. It's from a certain point of view, and they've got these books, certain point of view from prequel era, original trilogy era, and in there you can see where R5 and R2 have a discussion inside the
right.
The Sandcrawler? Yeah. And R2 tells R5 this, we were on an important mission, and R5 ends up blowing his motivator on intentionally so that R2 gets picked up, so on and so forth.
I think they should give R5 like a manic personality. I think it should be like high motivation and then low motivation. So sometimes he's going to help you, sometimes he's not. Like, I think there's like, they should build on that for the character. And so, I have a feeling he's just going to will around, you know, and stuff like that. But I heard that R5D4, or at least the first one that we saw, was made for Obi-Wan Kenobi at Pinewood. And it was made over there. And then they ended up shipping it over here once that was scrapped, and then it eventually ended up, you know, being in the Mando show.
So I haven't forgot Meg's question. What's the city planet? But this is another question real quick, because and I wanted to touch base not only on the N1 alteration we see. I think he goes back and Peli alters it to put the astromech droid back in there. But at the same time, this is not the N1. So when you're watching the trailer, maybe the first time, you see the N1 and in space, and you see it kind of goes to the TIE interceptors, and then all of a sudden there's a chase. There's a chase, and the first time I watched it, my brain just connected the two, and they're chasing the N1. Oh no, my friends, that's not the case. This is a different ship. This is a
Mandalorian Gauntlet starfighter, which we see on Concord Dawn in Star Wars Rebels. So it's probably
we see it in Clone Wars too. That's where they're introduced, is in Clone Wars.
So there was a question.
All over, right?
It says that it's only Rebels. I Wikipedia'd it, and it said it's only been in Rebels. At least this model. Yeah,
because there's like those kind of there's like Mandalorian like kind of fighters in the Clone Wars episodes with Death Watch and stuff, where they're in that camp. But I don't know if there's like a big difference. So if somebody in the chat knows what the difference is, tell me, because I'm dumb. I want to know.
It's we saw it on the Protectors of Concord Dawn episode. So I'm kind of thinking this. I mean, it could be Bo-Katan's ship, but I'm thinking maybe Sabine's family or Fen Rao. And I kind of mentioned this in my breakdown as well. I don't think Bo-Katan is on Mandalore. I think she's on Crow Nest. Because if you look at the concept art, it matches like perfectly. The windows, the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll bring that up in just a second because I almost just did the trailer through your video, Meg, but I thought, well, let me just start here. We'll talk our way through it because you brought up the image of Crow Nest, and in that, I think you may have a point, but I'm not sure. I tend to think it's
Me
still
neither.
Mandalore.
I'm just
but-
speculating.
Exactly. And I love the discussion. Like we instantly go to this is Bo-Katan's ship.
I think it
Maybe,
is.
maybe not.
I think it's the ship because in that previous trailer, it looks like the same ship to me that we see flying around and being chased in the earlier stuff from the Cam trailer from, was it Celebration maybe? I feel like, and then that was stuff was all intercut. It could have been a deception, but intercut with that shot of Bo and Grogu together. Remember that stuff
Yeah.
from the old
Yeah.
stuff? I think it's this shit personally. That's my bet.
And they're being chased by TIE interceptors, which we haven't seen for
Right.
40 years in live action since Return of the Jedi.
Been a long
It's
time.
so good. It's
Been a
so
long time.
good. And I like when I saw this, I was going back through watching, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth time. I was like, wait a second. That's not the end one. It's exciting. And I think likelihood is it's Bo-Katan, but don't put all your eggs in that basket. Maybe reserve the chance that it's not. And I think Meg makes a perfect point. Like when we see Bo on what we presume is Mandalore, well, maybe don't put all your eggs in that basket. It may not be, right? So, and then let me see. Oh, here's where you were talking in Meg's video this morning. We've got this dude back here,
CZ1 from A New Hope.
CZ1, and we've got this kind of a black protocol droid, and then sort of the burying the lead are the B1s, right? Just kind of cool to see B1s in live action again. We just saw them in the last episode of the Bad Batch, and we get B1s, we get N1, we get plenty of prequel reference with perhaps seeing the.
I do have a question though, and maybe
flashback
Jeremy in the chat can answer this. This green astromech, where have we seen him before?
This one in front.
The one next to him.
This one,
Yeah,
is
that
that
guy.
green? I thought it was blue.
I think it's green.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
So,
But we've seen him before someone. I can't put my finger on where it was. Was it a Naboo Royal astromech like from the Phantom Menace?
oh, Darth Chaco. He's calling it now. He said Paz Vizsla is going to be the big bad for the season. He's going to drop in and take the dark saber from Din. Ooh, that would be cool, but I think you're wrong. That'd be great, but I don't think so.
I think everyone's going to be at odds when we start, and then as we move through the season, collectively, everyone's sort of bottlenecks in line under a central idea and concept. I think that's how it's gonna go.
And
We
Jason,
saw
did you see
this-
those new T-shirts, the Mando Season 3 T-shirts? They've got
Oh, I
Bo-Katan,
didn't.
the Armorer, and Din all in a row. So your theory, or rather your leak is true, because I think that's like the end point. Them all kind of reuniting.
And
Yeah.
and look what's not on the statue. We got the helmets. We've got maybe where two legs were attached. But there's
I've
legs.
tried to do digging on that over the last couple of months, and every single thing I keep coming back to is that Grogu is in the IG-11 mech for the finale episode or episodes. So I
Okay.
don't expect him to be in that mech super early on, but I hope I am wrong because I want to see that like immediately.
It might
Jason,
be
I have
like
a bone to
big-
pick with you.
Okay,
You said that Christopher Lloyd was going to be in this trailer.
this isn't that trailer, so I imagine Christopher
Wow.
Lloyd will be in the TV spot stuff now.
That makes sense.
That's how
Yeah.
you can always make predictions. You can make predictions. I'm giving Jason a hard time on purpose.
Well,
Me
you-
too. I'm
you
just
know-
messing.
No, you know what?
I know what I'm
started
talking about.
Well, I started like digging about because remember I was talking a couple of weeks ago on the show about how when they first filmed the Christopher Lloyd stuff, it was different. There was like a different actor, and then they like changed it. They used like a stand-in and stuff. And I started going like, what if Christopher Lloyd's actually a Jedi and like Grogu's original like master or something? And I started going like, I need to like dig on. So that after I started having this like, what if it's that and he's not the crusty old white dude that you know what I mean, like that we heard about. And I started like, or what if he's like alive? So that's just like a me going down a rabbit hole though of
So
like
I've learned something recently about releasing Star Wars rumors.
Yeah,
And I separate that from leaks. These are rumors. Is that you project something, and then you say, and if it doesn't happen, it's because they got caught. So this is what I've heard. Rumors that
you're talking about fakers who go in and set up a no lose situation for themselves when they're wrong.
100%. So
yeah,
I'm telling you right now that Christopher Lloyd's going to be in the trailer, and if he's not, it's because it's a different trailer.
It's because because Kathleen Kennedy hates Back to the Future. They've been at odds since Back to the Future Part 2.
It was going to be in the trailer, but then Jason leaked it, so they're like, "No, we can't give it to you in the trailer because they found out that you already knew." That's why
they took out Moff Gideon and his new helmet, and they took out Christopher Lloyd from this trailer for what was supposed to be the Christmas trailer. So the Christmas edit is not come out yet, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe that footage will be pushed into like a mid-season trailer. This is speculation. I'm not saying I'm not deflecting. I'm just gonna say it flat out. I got it wrong. I was right, but I got it wrong. In the end, it didn't happen.
Jason, what about when you said that Kit Fisto crawls back from the dead?
He does.
Attacks Moff Gideon.
He does.
Okay.
You guys, we're having fun.
So what happens is they cut off his tentacles, and then those make actual clones of him. They just keep cutting him off, and they keep making more clones.
I
like
see.
Mogwai.
No,
I don't think his tentacles are where
it's sort of like you can do with a
is.
with a willow tree. You can just lop off a branch and stick it in the ground, and it'll grow a new willow tree. So that's how you actually
don't bring up Willow right now. Very raw.
It's Jason's favorite thing in the world, guys. For Christmas, this year we should all pitch in and get him Willow merch. All of it.
I think so too. When's your birthday, Jason?
August.
There you go. You want to know what to get Jason for his birthday?
A fan edit of Willow. Thank you. Take it.
Hey, what's this dude with the 4 eyes, the 4 green shiny eyes? I don't know that we've seen this.
I can't say what I said to you guys in the chat. I can't say it.
I think it's that guy from Kiss. Isn't that Gene Simmons?
Gene Simmons.
I feel like a Gene Simmons silhouette.
Is it you think it's a sentient character, or it's a beast?
I say it's a savage beast.
Yeah,
a beast
that peddles lies and
it's probably its cave. I think it's the inhabitants of the caves in Mandalore when they go in there to go down to the Lake Minnetonka, and they try to find out where to take Mando to baptize him again. I think those are like creatures that are now living in that, either now living in that cave or always dead, that they have to contend with.
Jason, is Christopher Lloyd playing a droid?
Christopher Lloyd is playing Kumail Nanjiani, who's playing a droid. It's meta, very meta.
I love this too. Look, Grogu comes out with the pram. No sign of Din anywhere in this, or anybody with him. Do you think he is like on a solo explorer mission, that he's kind of come out of his...
He looks at Bo-Katan, and he looks at Grogu, and he says, "I'm gonna bop it to start." All right, and then he sends Grogu Kid out. No,
I just wonder, has he come sort of out of his PTSD, and he's more like full-fledged, healthy Grogu now?
I might be reaching, but Grogu's new egg kind of looks like Darth Vader. So Maybe he's going to use the dark side.
What? Does it have a restraining bolt on it?
It's right here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Other question.
I have an answer to it though, real quick. Is that it? I think he is coming out of it a bit because he's using words now. We've heard him like verbally use 2 words now, sort of. So he's starting to speak more. Whereas before he was like, we said, I think they're going like every 10 years is 1 year for him. So he's like the equivalent of like a 4 or 5 year old, and he's not speaking now. He's starting to speak.
Wait, when did he speak? Did I miss that episode?
There's in one of the trailers, she's like, have you chosen this guy to be your new space daddy? He's like, yep. And he says, yep. He clearly
I think he just coos. That's like saying when he says Patu, he might be saying Batu, like Galaxy's Edge.
What? No, but he says yep. It's even like subtitled, I think, in one of the when I ran it. But I think maybe I'm wrong about that. But he says yep. He definitely it's like him saying a word. He says like a first word at least in this thing, which I think is him coming out of it. But
I think he'll be the next Vader. You know, he'll go up to Mando and be like, "You've failed me for the last time."
So you talk about the mech suit, right? And do you think this could be the plug-in piece to the mech suit? Like it comes out, he can travel about in it, and he can plug back in and go with the mech suit. So this is actually a part of the larger suit.
It could be. It's a good idea. That would be a fun idea for it to interface in that way.
Yeah. Let me show this. Somebody sent me.
Yeah, somebody made that figure. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Just for record, this is not what we expect it to be. Right?
No, I expect him to be in the chest cavity more.
Right.
It's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
But that design though is badass. Whoever made that did a good job.
They did a really good job. I love a lot of the fan stuff that's out there. So Meg asked this other question, and I have this up in Disney Plus for a reason, because there's a little scene that's in the Disney Plus trailer that's not in the YouTube version. And by the way, we got a couple more super chats, and I wanted to just make sure I don't ignore them.
Yeah.
And the chat, my goodness, we've had a great number of people on the show today. It's great for all of you to be here. I can't find. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can do it this way. Here we go. So Astromech Jeremy did this super chat a little bit ago. It says, I went through several R5s, lost a few to the microwave. $5 super chat. What were the R5s doing in the microwave? Did they arc? Did they like? I don't understand.
Is this when we find out that Jeremy is secretly a psychopath?
I have a theory that
I'm joking, Jeremy. I love you.
I love Jeremy too.
Mando's ship, that little ball that Grogu likes.
Yeah,
I think I have a theory that that's going to be part of the mech.
Oh,
that's going to go into the mech. Yeah,
that makes sense actually.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
Wait, Jason, I have a question though. You said that Grogu says "yep."
I think it's yep.
Interesting.
When the armorer says, "Do you accept?" Like I did like a trailer breakdown, and from the bootlegs, and I brought in like a bunch of different bootlegs, and I had taken the audio from one that had good audio and bad video. And so I think the one that I had the good audio from wasn't that well circulated, and you could clearly hear him say "yep." It's like a cute little voice that goes "yep." It's like a little pop on the P. It's like "yep." It's funny.
Excellent. And so here we get. I love the narration here.
By the way, Carson is a city right here where they film everything too. So I think that Carson comes from the local El Segundo area.
Oh, fun. So they're just like that. That's a little like.
I think it might be. Yeah, I think it might just be a coincidence, but yeah.
Maybe. I like this though. It says there's something dangerous happening out there, and then
this flat shot is what's dangerous that's happening.
And then we get this big. So this is the shot that's in the Disney Plus trailer that's not
Version.
in the YouTube one. You didn't see during Monday Night Football.
And we saw this in the Celebration leak trailer. That was the cam version too. This shot.
they-
And be honest, guys, you thought of Exegol when you saw this.
I thought of Exegol done better.
You know when Palpatine
I
was
know,
like,
I know.
the new order, and then
Bust through the ice.
Yeah, I no.
I want
is
old
this-
Star Destroyers and new stormtroopers because that's cool to me," said Palpatine.
What planet are we on? That's the question. Is it Coruscant? Is it?
I think it's
what was
Coruscant
it?
based off of the transport that he's in. Like if you go back to the transport that he's in,
Yeah.
doesn't it look like one of the pods that we see from? Is it the same kind of ship from Return of the Jedi Special Edition at the end?
I mean,
So,
let's be real. It's probably Coruscant because Hosnian Prime isn't the capital. This is Matt Rissman who told me this. Hosnian isn't the capital for another 9 years or something like that. But it could be Chandrila because the protocol droid in Chapter 12 at the school that Grogu goes to said that Chandrila is the capital, and they have Carson Teva speak to, who I'm pretty convinced is Mon Mothma. And I think that could be where the peace treaty takes place between the remnants and the New Republic, which goes horribly wrong. And that could set the precedence for the rise of the First Order. Just my theory, because it kind of looks a bit off for Coruscant, but that just could
Yes.
be the production.
But
it could
the
be
the window. I know this sounds dumb, but the way that if the windows are painted, if you wanted to look at it from a painterly perspective, are the same as how Macquarie did Coruscant's windows, and you see that kind of rift on in all of the iterations of Coruscant, which we don't see in Hosnian Prime in Episode 7. So that's what makes me think that from a design perspective, this is Coruscant, but it's also it doesn't mean it is. Obviously, nothing's conclusive, but I think it's Coruscant.
Okay, I'm just not sure. I throw it
In
in
all
the
fairness,
same
in the last
categories
Bad Batch episode, Coruscant looked very different.
Yeah,
So there's different parts of it.
yeah, I'm completely sticking to the live action take or whatever so far.
I don't think it has to be Coruscant, but it's likely Coruscant. I
I'm
like the
curious
idea of
if
it
that
being
buggy-
Chandrila.
You know that thing he's in?
Yeah.
It looks just like the ones from the end of Return of the Jedi Special Edition to me, but it's like if it's not Coruscant, lazy.
Oh,
Do you think while Dr. Pershing's on one of these, he'll bump into Saboka? You know, the Sebulba-like guy from Attack of the Clones, who's just chilling in Coco
Oh
Town?
yeah.
could be. But
He needs wind or something blown in his face. This shot is maybe my least favorite shot in a Star Wars trailer of all time.
well,
I'm happy to see Coruscant, but this shot is trash.
Look, I'm fascinated with the dialogue here. It says there's something dangerous happening out there. From your leaks, the things that we've heard about the Ahsoka series and the Skeleton Crew series, there is something dangerous happening out there. Not in the universe that we're used, the regular Star Wars universe.
Not
but
following Union rules during the production.
in the new space, whatever we want to call that. There is something dangerous happening out there, and we've kind of speculated here, and we've kind of talked a lot about the danger that's going on there. Will come back in Mandalorian season 4, where so could this be a prelude, an allusion to that something dangerous going on out there, or something more immediate to season 3?
My theory.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Meg. No, go ahead, Meg. Sorry.
I was just going to say, how would Carson Teva know about Thrawn yet? If Jason was saying how it's the British are coming, how would some random New Republic officer know? I think it's more like Moff Gideon and what he's doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think where they're going with this is that you have the Mandalorians reuniting, kind of coming back together. You have Gideon being broken out of prison. All of this stuff is all going down at the same time. but he's like the Rangers are on the front lines out there in the galaxy, seeing that this is like lawless and stuff is crazy. Whereas in the core, they're all pretending like it's business as usual. And so I think that guy is gonna have that perspective of it's wacky out here. So I think you can probably put it on almost anything, but I think that it's actually a direct reference to the plot to bust Gideon out and get him a Star Destroyer and all that stuff. Because I think he's going to be. I think what we're going to have is Carson going back to the core of Coruscant, back to home base or whatever you want to call it, and then you're going to have the Star Destroyer being ripped off, Homeboy ousted from prison, like all of this stuff going on. They're going to know, like, okay, there's a plot here, and it's not cool. Like, it's not. This isn't all coincidence. I think that, and then we're going to have the Rangers going around going like, there's breadcrumbs, while Mando is the guy on the front lines who's actually going to be dealing with what they can't, because they're inept, because of the actual political body is exhausted. Mon Mothma's been in this fight since Cassian was 6 years old. Think about it.
Well, Jason, I have a question. Do you think the season could end with, Gideon breaking out of prison, and then we see him talking to some shadowy figure, and then he's like, "I won't fail you, Supreme Leader."
Right? Yeah, I'd be all about it.
And then a post-credit scene where Corky Kryze goes to Tatooine. Boba Fett's gained 150 pounds of weight, and then Boba's just like, "Corky, bakata chuga baba." Like, I heard rumors, and then he shoots him.
Grogu's first
season 2 coming 2026.
My feelings I eat, and then that's it. that's the end of all we saw.
So I don't know if Daryl the Derelict has been following us real close. Daryl's an old friend of the channel. I've gone on to his show before, and
brother Daryl, your other brother Daryl.
Look, Daryl's a great guy, but I don't know if you've been following the channel. But I've been bringing up Katana Fleet theories repeatedly over the past few weeks, and so you definitely hit a sweet spot for me. And I appreciate that. But here we go. It says, and by the time, so something big's going on out there, right? And by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it says,
that's what she said.
It'll be too late. And there's where you get to see Carson, right? You get to see Carson, which I love getting to see him again, right? It's just fantastic. This guy, the Canadian super fan who gets to be in Star Wars. How awesome is that? But at the same time, and that's why I just brought up it could be something bigger, but more likely this kind of thing. And if this is Coruscant, are they repairing, putting together, taking apart the destroyer?
I think it's a salvage yard where they're decommissioning the remnants of the old empire as they reel it in, capture it, or whatever. And I think before this one can be fully deactivated, I think Pershing and his compatriot are going to hijack it and steal it, and then that's going to rearm Gideon in the immediate story.
Well,
Santa, this is meant to be a Bad Batch preview.
You think so?
No.
I'm just saying this stream should be a Bad Batch preview.
Oh, the stream. Yeah, we're supposed to talk about that, aren't we? We're way into the show and haven't even got to that. So we should do that. The thing I wanted to bring up here and tied into what Jason just said is that Mon Mothma is demilitarizing the Republic, the New Republic. And this goes right in that theme of saying she's demilitarizing at a time when a threat is increasing. Right?
And she has filmed on these shows, so she could be in Mando. She could be in Mando 3. What's that?
Yeah,
music to my ears.
Mm-hmm. I think she's. I think she's in this and Ahsoka. I think, but I'm.
But you know what?
It's very circumstantial at the moment.
I think this is like a great time to say that you should really go out and read Lost Stars if you haven't done so. It's such a fun post episode 6 book.
Yes. And real quick before we go to Bad Batch, Carl Weathers posted this on Twitter. Said the Mandalorian poster's too cool. Love being part of the Star Wars multiverse. Now, do you think? He slipped up something.
No,
He knows something we don't know.
That's
blah,
just
blah,
an
blah.
old man not using the corporation's correct terminology.
Mandoverse. Being part of the Star Wars Mandoverse.
No, I don't. I think
Universe.
if a PR person at Lucasfilm could edit this now, it would just be being a part of Star Wars. That's what they would want him to say. That isn't, oops, I slipped. It's a multiverse. No.
But Meg, what do you think?
I think Jason's spot on.
Yeah, I agree. So I do want to go to talk a little bit about
look, it's
Bad
big.
Batch. We have a new episode coming tonight, right? And here's a concern that I have, and something before we fully get in, it's a transition.
You could get rid of Biggs. She moved over to the corner now.
Look, the excitement over Mandalorian season 3. And I think that Mandalorian season 3 could very well suck all the oxygen out of the Bad Batch.
You thought Bad Batch had oxygen? That's so cute.
You think the Bad Batch can suck off Mando? Sorry.
Meg, behave yourself. Very funny, though. Very funny. So, no, my point is, my opinion, my 2 cents that aren't worth anything, is that they should speed up the episode releases of Bad Batch to conclude before Mandalorian kicks off, because there's a couple of big advantages to doing that. One would be that the entire season would be available. So if you're going to sit down and watch Mandalorian season 3, you could also turn on the Bad Batch for your kiddos to watch. If you're not into animation, they could watch some great Star Wars animation. But it also allows us to, that boy Steve, time for Naughty List song. Yeah, but it also gives us time to get more of the story in shorter segments. Where there was talk when the Bad Batch started, the folks who had the screeners got like 14 episodes all at once, and being able to consume the animated story of the Bad Batch in like one sitting or in larger doses is better for the story to be told. So I think it would behoove them to do it in more episodes, condense it so that it concludes the week before Mandalorian.
I completely agree with you, Santa, but I do think Baymax asks a very, very insightful question that I would love to answer on stream.
Okay.
No, please don't.
Okay.
Somebody said that the Mando trailer already has like 3 million views. To like contextualize where that's at in relation to Kenobi, Kenobi ended up with 18 million views. So this is only in 24 hours though. So
wow.
But Kenobi trailer, that's a lot. That's much more than I actually thought it would. I just wanted to look to see right now.
Yeah.
So, but that says something about what happens when Disney pulls in a classic Star Wars titular character into a show.
So we do this predictions game. It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. It's a way to get to interact while we do the watch party. Tomorrow morning we'll do the watch party and we'll go through the predictions. It's a ton of fun. And if you do well, your name gets to go on the Wall of Fame or the leaderboard that's below. And on the scroller, we'll highlight your name for a week. And it's just fun, right? It's just fun. We only have 8 responses in the predictions so far. So the predictions game, you can find links to it on Discord, Twitter, Facebook, Patreon. I've posted those everywhere so that you can participate. It's a blast. I highly recommend it just to participate. And tonight is episode 4. The title is Faster. And Meg, again, you covered this in your video today.
More intense.
We're expecting this to be another Mando episode.
You mean
not Mando.
Mission of the Week?
Like the Mission of the Week, a Bad Batch episode, right?
And I think I've mentioned this before, but someone who has seen all 14 episodes, said this is the worst one of the entire season. And with a name like Faster, I can kind of see why.
And what's her name? The show. She said, "Wow, episode 4 already! I'm so excited!" Right? She's trying to hype it. What's her name? Put that in here.
Jen Corbett.
Yeah, Jennifer Corbett. Right. So she tweeted like, "This is super excited. She's excited for it." And so, hey, Astromech Jeremy's got to run to rehearsal. Thanks a lot.
Get out of here.
Thanks for hanging out here with us, Jeremy. Thanks for the super chat. Fantastic dude. This guy here is just a fantastic fan. Wonderful member of our community.
He's a robot.
Love him.
He's a robot. He's an astronaut.
He loves his droids. So Faster could just be a mission of the week in which, if you're going to do the predictions, there's lots of questions in here, like Sid's going to send him on a mission, visit Ord Mantell, those kind of things. Keep that in mind when you're doing your predictions, because all those things are more likely to be yes, and all the crosshair stuff is likely to be no. Just right. If you're wanting to see the episode with Crosshair and Commander Cody from last week, you're wanting to see a continuation of that, you're going to have to wait just a hot minute, right? I think, what'd you say? It's episode 12 or something like that. The Outpost.
The Outpost.
When we get to see them again. So cool your jets, hold your horses. That's like not going to happen. So when you're doing your predictions, keep that in mind. But we're not going to get a follow up on that story for a hot minute. It's going to be a little bit. So we get a mission of the week, Faster. We'll be back to the name of the episode is Faster. Faster.
It's probably that the chasing Tech. In the trailer where Tech is being chased.
Yeah. So it says mission of the week. However, maybe lots of action. I would expect that, right? Dale says the Marauder needs a part where they win money for entering a race. I don't know, maybe, but I wanted to highlight that because we're going to run out of oxygen after episode 11 when the Mandalorian starts, and right after that, the March 8th, the week of the Mandalorian, we get episode 12, which is the follow-up on where we are with Crosshair. So
I think on this show, if you're still watching at episode 11, you're already in, and it's fine for them.
Yeah.
I think by episode 11, it's going to see the growth. It's going to see growth. So I think I would rather that whole show just drop at once. I think that would have been better for us, for the fans, just to be able to enjoy it at their own pace. But they're not doing it that way. But I don't think it's going to change anything for it by episode 11, personally.
Okay, all right.
Which episode do you think we'll see Gunji in?
I can look at the titles again.
Yeah. That's a hard one. It always felt like a middle episode to me, but it just feels like a middle one. That's not based off of any context clues that I've taken in.
What we need though when they come across Gunji? Someone to be like, Gunji, it is you, a Jedi. What do you know?
What do you know? Oh, with 4 arms. Oh, look, Gunji. Oh, what do you know?
They need to bring Dexter Jetster into these shows though. He would have been a great Sid for this show. Somebody that's already established, and
it would be. It'd be great. Yeah. So we got lots of questions about the batch, and so you get to answer these, and then there's a fill in the blank answer at the end where people can pick anything, but it needs to be a decent guess, right? In this case, I put this is my answer, my fill in the blank. Sid uses a nickname like bandanas or goggles, right? When she refers to a member of the batch. Okay. So she's going to use a nickname when she talks about one of the kids or one of the batch.
What becomes Omega's nickname?
Well, she calls her different things.
Yeah,
Like
she called
Orson?
her
Like
little
noodle arms one
something.
time. She
Mm.
called- she-
Little arms.
so
You
there's
know what,
stuff like
Santa?
that.
I think you're cheating.
Mm.
I think
Why?
that's a gimme answer because Sid has
It's-
never referred to the Bad Batch as their actual names.
Well, the thing is, if Sid's not in it and Sid doesn't send them on a mission, then I would miss it.
Mm.
Well, what if Sid says it, but it's not on screen?
Well, she still says it.
Yeah. Still says it.
Yeah.
Blondie?
Yeah, so-
She calls her Blondie.
Oh,
I think she calls her
Blondie.
Tiny.
Yeah,
Tiny.
tiny. Yeah. So, look, I hope you guys join along in the predictions game. And the Bad Batch tonight, I'll be doing a watch party at like 7:30 in the morning Eastern tomorrow. Jason, are you going to do a after episode breakdown?
Yeah, me and Max are going to stay up tonight and watch it. And so we'll be live at what, probably around 12:20-ish, something like that in the morning. Pacific Standard Time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jason,
Mm-hmm.
tell Max you were right about me.
Okay.
Tell her you were right.
You're right. Yeah, like you were right about Meg. She'd be like, "What?" I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
I
a
don't
Darth Vader reference.
know. I know, but be like, I don't know. I don't know.
So Sabersmith thinks the two-parter, the middle episodes, mid-season two-parter could be a Gunji for sure. I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Really good.
I don't
Look,
think they would kill Gunji in this show either, which makes me kind of like happy. I don't think they'd kill Gunji. I don't think they can do it. I don't think you can kill a cute little Wookiee in a Disney
I hope
cartoon.
not.
I doubt it.
Not. So
We need Rob to create the Dave Filoni scenario where that happens.
Do you think if like Gunji has to go under deep cover, he just like shaves himself and he's like, I'm not a Wookiee, I'm just a guy. It's a weird looking guy.
Oh, there's something else about Mando season 3. There are a couple of different directors that were noted for the season. We get a couple new directors involved with the series.
Was it like a Spider-Verse director or something like that?
Yeah,
I
there
thought it
was. I can't remember his name.
And the other one also comes from Marvel. I think, trying to remember, but I just saw this note. I didn't pull it up. But yeah, there are a couple of new directors. Not the typical. Bryce Dallas Howard, is she listed?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she was listed.
Yeah.
And
So
She was last.
isn't Taika Waititi as well?
He was listed too?
Maybe. I might be wrong.
Yeah. Well, I know he was there, but I thought he was there to voice IG-11.
Yeah, that might be it.
Is what I thought.
Stephen Murphy says Hollywood Reporter has that info, so you can find it there. And I just have to look it up. I don't know it right now. But I know folks are getting ready to head out. We've been talking for a long time. But if you guys would, do the YouTube things, it helps the video out a lot. Do the liking and the sharing. We had a great audience today. My goodness, we got a lot of folks that we haven't seen in a long time. Got a couple of new folks and all of our regulars. Great to see all of you. Thanks for hanging out with the three of us to talk about Star Wars for better part of an hour and a half.
Can I correct our record really quickly, just right before we go?
Yeah.
Director on this season of The Mandalorian includes returning Helmer Rick Famuyiwa, Black Panther, cinematographer Rachel Morrison, Minari filmmaker Lee Isaac Chung, Mandalorian actor Carl Weathers, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Peter Ramsey, and returning Mando director Bryce Dallas Howard. So that's what it says.
Perfect.
did it.
And the Mike Porter dad joke: what does Grogu eat to stay warm and healthy? A hot bowl of Grogu stew. Gross stew.
I think it reads better in your head than it sounds when you say it.
I'm probably not delivering the punchline quite correctly. Philip Hawkins, Gina's missing from the trailer. Huh.
That's a
odd.
Quran no.
How-
Quran no.
Gina.
Gina Quran
That's
no.
How did that happen? That's weird.
Cara Dunn.
Yeah. That's true.
That's my pronoun. Cara Dunn.
Hey, and we have Patreon as well. And there's something I'm going to do. I've been debating this, but I always get grief about my take of the Plagueis novel. Right? The Plagueis novel to me is oversold, overhyped, and underdelivers. Not that it's it just doesn't meet my expectations in any way. Right? It's not the worst novel I've
What if
read,
it was
but
called
it's certainly not the
Palpatine?
best.
What if it was called Palpatine? T-E-E-N. It was
it's-
the young Palpatine. What if it was called that
It's
instead?
it's nowhere near what I had hoped for or expected, or that I hear many Plagueis shills constantly telling me that it's the best Star Wars novel of all time. I'm like,
Darth Vegas?
I don't see it, fam. I don't
Darth
see it.
Vegas?
So what I'm going to do is I have purchased an additional copy of the book. They've gotten me 3 times now because this daggone book, you guys won't leave it alone. So I've got it on Kindle, so I can bring it up digitally. We're gonna read through it together, and I'll put that on Patreon, and we could discuss it. Why it is not the novel that you guys think that it is. It's just.
I thought you were a
it's not
Dark
all
Tenor
that.
bro, like me.
And I'm mainly picking at Meg right now because she's the one who gives me one of the hardest times about my take on the Plagueis novel. It's not good.
Well, I guess my question is, Santa, did you try reading it?
I have
Are you
3
sure?
times. Where this will be 4th. This will be the 4th time through. You
Wait,
guys
you've
are killing me.
already read it 4 times?
I've read
You
it
read
3
it 3
times.
times?
Yeah,
I think you're good,
this will
dude.
be the 4th time.
I think you're good. I don't think you're gonna like it. I don't think it's gonna somehow magically
no,
go like,
but
oh,
I've-
now it's good.
What I've got to do is I've got to let the folks who haven't read it give the opportunity to see why it's such a terrible read.
Oh.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Look, I had high hopes that it was going to give me some of Plagueis, like why he's such a great villain, why he's such a great Sith Lord, and it just didn't.
It's kind of clickbaity because it's all about Palpatine. It's a bit like
right.
the Prince Harry book out now. You know, you think it's about Prince Harry, but it's actually about his dick.
So I do have a Patreon, and in here too, you can ask Patreon only live stream questions, and I look at those every time we do a live stream if there's anything in here, and then I'm going to post the Plagueis novel in here. I'm going to read through it with you all, and we'll do it in short snippets, so it's not like the whole book in one take, but you'll see why it's really a bait and switch novel. It's not all that. Why is Palpatine's biggest superpower lightning speed? Like he can run like the Flash. That's what Palpatine does all over in the book. Whenever anything
you see
happens,
him do
he
that
like
in the movie. You see him
he runs
when
like
he,
the Flash.
When he attacks, he like that's what it's supposed to be evoking. Is the Revenge of the Sith speed
It's so
that he goes at Mace and the boys with?
Well, he runs so fast that if you weren't looking and didn't catch just the kind of streak that went by, you wouldn't even know because he's running faster than the speed that the eye can
Necrono's acting
capture.
career.
Yikes!
Oh.
It's just not.
Sorry. People keep mentioning
I'm
her.
just- He's like the Flash. Like if you really wanted to know Palpatine's superpower was being the Flash, like if you wanted the Flash in Star Wars, Darth Plagueis novel, give it to you with Palpatine. I'm like, come on now. Yeah, he was younger, so he could run quicker. Yeah, it's my hot take. So we're just to read through it together. I'll do that in Patreon. and I'll start posting those like on a weekly basis. So we'll read a little bit of the story together, and we'll get through the novel, and you guys can see why it's a hot mess. And you don't have to take my word on it. You can read it for yourselves. Yeah.
Do you think that there's a chance that we're going to learn that Cara Dune is dead, and that's why Carson's saying that?
Nope.
Like she's been killed.
Nope.
Like stuff's going on out there. We don't know what it is.
Jason, the minute that they confirm her death, the amount of YouTube videos about that.
Do it. Kill her.
It ain't gonna happen.
Not the actor, the character, because she ain't coming back. So
I don't think they'll
somehow Cara
address
Dune
it.
died.
yeah, either recast her or kill her, and I don't think recasting her would solve the problem. So they
All
probably
right.
I just be like, ain't touching it.
You hanging out with Rob this afternoon, Jason?
I'm not sure yet because we're doing a show tonight. What do you call it? We did a show late last night for the trailer, so I'm not sure yet.
All right.
And I haven't talked to him.
Well, Meg, as always, thank you for your breakdown videos this morning. I watched it twice. It's fantastic, and
Thank you,
look forward
Santa.
to your breakdown of the Bad Batch.
Is that
I'm
where she starts
excited.
crying? I'm sorry, I missed the Bad Batch. I'm breaking down here. No?
Yeah, a literal Bad Batch breakdown.
Oh my god. Sid, it's Fat Boss.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, you guys, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I look forward to catching you all next
Bye,
time.
guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye bye.